Today we have in the studio a very dynamic personality. If you ever wonder what are business tools that you can use to start, scale, and grow your business in a very smart way, well, the personality you're about to be introduced to is that subject matter expert. And her name is Shivani. Now, Shivani Sinarain is a project management practitioner with many years in her field. She is also a lecturer at the UWI, one of the top universities in the Caribbean. And Shivani, I must say, it gives me tremendous pleasure to be talking with you today. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Gary. Always wonderful to have conversations with you.
Most definitely. Now, can you, before we get into today's discussion, can you talk to us a little bit about yourself? Tell us a little bit about Shivani and growing up to be what you are today.
So, Gary, I love to talk, right? So, you asking me tell you a little bit about how I'm here. I can take you back and start to talk long time, and hours might pass, right? So, who am I then? If I have to, if you ask me that question, I would say I am a disruptor. I do not like the status quo. I do not like the status quo, probably because I have been in environments that I believe needs to change. And probably that has encouraged my thinking, you know. And I've seen many things that needs to shake up. So a lot of times persons may continue with the same status quo and you're not getting anywhere. Organizations not evolving, people not evolving. And then age just comes up and you realize, but wait, I have been doing the same thing over and over, and I wanted a different result, but I didn't get it. So I want to, I always start this conversation with saying to people, I believe in disruption, disrupting the status quo. We are living in an age now with innovation. Do we really understand innovation? As I think about, probably how did I get that thinking? Did I get that thinking just like that? I believe it's associations because I have a lot of my
But
family that become.
there's exactly where I want us to go now. I really love the fact that you would have said that you are a disruptor. And as we look at the world today, as we look at life today, I do believe that there are justifiable reasons to be a disruptor because a lot of things that you're told you're seeing now is not accurate, it's misleading, and it can literally hold you back from your greatest potential. So being disruptive to the status quo in a very strategic way can have tremendous benefit to you and your community. But a follow-up question I want to ask into that is what are those factors that you believe shape your personality as that disruptor? Was it mom and dad? Was it your community, your schooling? What are those factors that you believe influence you to become a disruptor?
So my dad believe in you go to school, you get a degree, you get your job. So that is how I was trained. I was trained that you must have your degree. I had a good life in terms of they would have paid for everything for me, and up to university. So that's the type of training that I had. I had it from my dad, where it was one thing after another, and you keep moving and you keep moving.
Yeah, like many persons around the world, go to school, get a good job, get a good education, and your life's supposed to be set from there. But turn out to be not true for many persons.
Exactly. But my mom, on the other hand, would have believed, yes, she would believe the same thing too, that you need to go to school, get a degree, and eventually you could become probably the CEO of an organization and grow into that area. But throughout my I would say, schooling before UE, before university and stuff. Throughout my schooling, it's something in me, honestly, Gary, that always wanted to stand out. Always wanted to stand out, and I don't believe the traditional jobs will get me to stand out. So and you asking me this question, it just makes me think so much more. Why am I like this? Why I don't believe, and I keep asking myself, why, Shivani, you don't believe that you have, after this, you'll eventually get this, and then you move up and you move up, and you get to the CEO of the organization. Why is that never good? Right? And if you have conversations with me as you normally do, you'll hear me saying, but there's a CEO of the organization. Well, okay, all right, so what? So what? Right? So what? Is it that's something that you really wanted to do? And personally, you asked me how did I get that? I think it was always in me that I wanted to be outstanding. I wanted to say, when you see me, oh, that's Shivani. And I do not think that those just moving up the rank will allow me to be outstanding. What will allow me to be outstanding is if I could do a change. And you will remember me, and generations to come will remember me in terms of change. What did I actually change? What did I create? And I still haven't created it, Gary. I'm still trying to find what I want to create.
Okay.
So that's how I think it's embedded in me.
In you. All right. So it's something from within, your DNA that is driving you forward. I'm going to come back to this line of questions just now, but I want us to focus a little bit on you, because I recognize that you are a rising star in business. You're a lecturer, but along with you being a rising star in business and a lecturer, you are a mother, and you are also a wife. How are you able to balance your professional career as a lecturer, subject matter expert in project management, and multiple businesses, and also that of being a mother and a wife? It, Tell us a little bit about that work-life balance.
People would say it's difficult, but honestly, I wouldn't say it's difficult. I have a strong support system with my siblings, with my dad. Well, my mom is no longer around, right? But when she was around, she was a very strong supporter. And that question came up today. I was coming up to you here, and someone had asked me about something, and I said, support systems is what really you need. So just as we say in business, you talk about networking, and who you have around you. I come from a family that is very, very supportive. So I am lucky in that sense. It's not only me and my husband, but I have my dad. I would have had, as I said, my mom. I have my brother, my sister. So we are all about family and will help each other. So even if my sister, she got to do something, I would make myself available to see her daughter, my niece, and then I have my nephew, with my brother's child, and that's how we will operate. So
I
to
love that.
me, as they say, it's a village to raise a child. So
Yeah,
I personally will not say. I would say to somebody that is the strategy that I have used, and I continuously use it. It is not, you can't do it for yourself at all. You can't do everything for yourself at all. I can't sit here and tell you, Gary, that you could do it all. No way. No way you could do it all.
you need a
So
team.
you need a team, just as you need
I
a team to
really,
run your business.
yeah, I really love that. I could recall in one of my book, I emphasize this, and one of the things that I emphasize is that relationships is the mother of all social system. And when we look at life, you tend to see that the people that have healthy, productive relationship with key people, they're the one that are going to be more successful. And those that do not have the right relationship with the right people, they're the one that are going to challenge. So I really love that you would have put out there that your relationship with family and associate is what really helped you to navigate the world of family and the world of business. So I'm trusting that our listeners can take away that bit of nugget from you. Because I know you, Shabani, you're a fighter, you're a pusher, you are a disruptor. You're not settling, for simple accomplishments. You want to push that ceilings to accomplish more, and I
I'm
really
trying to
admire
show you. I'm trying to show you my T-shirt. It says why,
that.
why.
Yeah, I really admire that because you're a woman, and I think that you are a strong ambassador for women. You're saying that women, you can do it when you believe in yourself. Shivani, I want to come back to your professional life, your experience, and business. Can you talk to us, help us to understand Shivani, um, as that professional person that you are? Tell us a little bit about your experience in business. Just help us to get that bird eye view of yourself.
So remember, Gary, I was saying that I want to stand out.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not going to lie and say that I want to mingle in the crowd. I don't. So I don't want to be. I want that when you see me, I stand out,
You're different. You stand out.
and my standout, well, my standout might be different to somebody else who is standing out. I don't know, but that's what I want. I want people to, when I walk, you see who I am. I'm not going to, hide that at all. That's my personality. And if I don't stand out, I sometimes I feel sick, right?
Yeah, you
I
feel
feel,
you're undermining the rich potential that you have to achieve
yeah.
greatness. You want to be
So
different. You
I
want to
want to be different.
keep
And
on
as I
that path of self-actualization.
And as I said, it happened in school. In school, I don't want mediocrity. I don't believe in mediocrity at all. Now, as we say in project management, you really have to look at what is the value that you want. You have to know what is the outcome that you want, right? And my outcome is to be outstanding in as an individual, to make change. But some people would say they don't want they don't want people to know they've done it and they will be in the background and stuff.
Yeah,
Again, Gary, I wouldn't lie, that's not me. I want people to know I've done it too. Right?
I got you.
Yeah, I want
Tell us
people
a
to know
little
I've done
bit to know that you have, and you deserve it. You deserve it. I do believe that there are some people that try to keep you below the glass ceiling, and when you begin to understand your rich potential and you're living from purpose, and the first thing you want to do is to break that ceiling. All right. And I really love that you are a true example of woman, of leadership, of a strong ambassador that says, I'm going to do this on my terms. All right. And you're doing it. Tell us a little bit about your business. I know that you manage multiple institutions. I would love to just learn a little bit about what you're doing now in business.
So, Gary, about 16 years ago, as I said, I want to be outstanding. I want to do something different. Now, I think I could teach, right? And I understand teaching and curriculum and, training and stuff. I got into project management and started to teach project management. These are the certifications through and set up a company, Borderlink Resources. And that's 17 years going now. So Borderlink Resources, I would have set up just persons were calling and they did not know that they were calling a landline at my house, right? And persons were, I had somebody to take the calls right there. And then we went into, it was a chamber. We rented a meeting room then to have the class. And nobody knew that this was the first time this course was running, this class, that it was the first time that I actually started to teach it. You know, everybody thought that it was this big organization. Um, so it was really amazing to me how easy it was to start it up. How easy it was to start it up. Some people would say that they had a lot of, it took a lot of out of them to do, and they failed at it at the first time. And to be honest, in that case, it was such a success, and it continued, right? So it started with me just teaching one class, a project management class. A lot of people came. It was I think I analyzed it to say that this was something I found was lacking in the market in our country. And I mean we didn't have all these online as how popular it is now, so it was a face to face that I was doing. And I analyzed what is a very popular one to do that people will want to do it. And then you put all your services around that. And then we went and we did it, and it was so successful. And then from that, many other professional certifications I would have analyzed. And that's what we do. And of course, from there, I would have developed into many of the technical trades as well. So Borderlink Resources started up just with me teaching one class, and when persons called, they assumed that it was a lot of people, a lot of people.
What I like about your program, though, Shivani, is that Borderlink Resources, you do more than just offer certificate of recognition. You give international accredited certification. I know you're actually set up for that. Along with saying that, I want to say this, and you're perfectly correct. I do believe that probably 2 years ago it has been introduced to the world. And when I was first introduced to project management, one of the things that I recognize is that it is one of the most important business instrument that all entrepreneur needs to know. What I love about it is that any project that you're doing in business, you can collapse that project into the project management tools, and you will be able to significantly optimize the results that you're looking for because you have tools to predict results or anticipate results. You have tools to navigate risk. You have tools to ensure that the project is achieved within timeline, within budget, within project integrity. And this is what is so unique about projects. So again, I believe that you made a very, very clever move to become that subject matter expert you are in project management, and didn't settle for just learning it and applying it in a particular organization, but you learned it, you apply it, and you have elevated yourself now to the point where you are providing international accredited programs for the wider business community. And I want to say, kudos to you for making those brave moves. Shivani, you're also a lecturer. You teach at UWI, which is one of the top universities in the Caribbean, if not the world. UWI has produced some of the greatest minds that we have known within the Caribbean and around the world. Can you share with us a little bit about your role as a lecturer, as a teacher, as a motivator, as a nurturer in your field at UWI?
So I started to teach with UE a number of years now, where I taught a lot of IT programs, a lot of technical programs. Before that, it was a lot of technical certifications as well, Microsoft certifications that I would have taught. And under the UE umbrella, we would have, that's what I did, right? I started to teach and look at different IT programs, you'll call it technology programs, and you deliver those programs to the wider community. Over the years, I've also pivoted in other areas within the university system, which is facilities management. And I myself, I run facilities. I manage buildings. I manage all the MEPs. So I have a team of persons, and that's what I do. That's my day job, facilities management, as I always tell people. So I manage facilities. It's a very interesting job, as I'm sure you know, because everything can fall down and nobody could come physically into the classroom if it's not there. We had a joke before we started. You told me move my laptop because there was a little piece of the ceiling that was going to show. And I'm glad you told me that, because I don't want everybody to say that I manage facilities. It's falling. So I'm happy you told me that to do. So, I believe in people, I believe in motivating people. So you'll always hear me talking about teaching. So even if my role is to manage, it's all about developing a L&D culture, a learning and development culture. So that's another aspect that I do. And during COVID, I set up another business, which is Caribbean Connect. Now, Caribbean Connect was supposed to be a business directory, where persons can advertise. And it started like that. But of course, training and development is my cup of tea. So that also pivoted into an online platform where we'll have course creations. You create a course and you upload it onto the site. So it went into different iterations. And this is the iteration that Caribbean Connect is also going into, which is an online learning management system, a platform that persons could go and upload their courses. So I'm hoping to go live with a number of those things shortly. Not hearing you. Gary? I think you're on mute. That's why I'm not hearing you.
Hi, Shivani. Are you on?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. I wasn't hearing you at all. Hearing you now.
All right, one sec. All right, I don't know what the technology is playing its own magic for me right now.
Hmm.
But can you talk to us briefly about, as a lecturer at UWI, what are your vision student body?
I didn't get that question properly. What is my student body?
What is your vision for your students?
Well, that's something to make me think. That's an easy question. I want persons to change. I want people to implement whatever they have learned and actually go ahead and do something with it. So I don't want persons that when they get this literature and they understand this knowledge, and it's just part of what they do, and they don't go and implement. I want to see implementation. I guess that's a project management part of me. One of the courses that I recently did was a sustainability course, and it was such an interesting group of persons where that's exactly how I started the class. We want persons to implement, because you're going to do all this documentation and on green buildings, and do all the research. Um, we want people to start to implement. So implementation is what I really want to see from the content. Implementation. That's my hope.
Awesome. Um, how difficult have you been able to measure how students are performing in terms of the measurability that you're talking about?
So we call it a trace of studies. A trace of studies to actually know where did they, what did they do, right, after. And this is an important aspect, a trace of studies. A lot of universities will do it. We started it with what we refer to as a pre-health program, where students would have done a 1 year program and then get into faculty of medicine, of medical sciences. So we really wanted to know what's the type of student that is coming out of this program. So yes, I've been involved in doing some trace of studies, but we got to do more of that. And I mean, that's a great question you ask. How do you measure? How do you measure? So trace of studies,
I
but
must, yeah, I must say I love that trace of study. And one of the things that I often talk about is that, in project management, one of the things that we have been taught is that everything has to be measured. And when we are doing project, we talk about the completion criteria. We talk about the project execution and the project management process, and we talk about contracts. Because the reason contract comes into play here is that the person who is signing off on that project, they have an obligation to complete the project on time, complete the project on budget, and give you the integrity. But I see something happen different in the academic world. And very often you're tasked with just delivering your course content. But what you're doing in terms of traceability, you're measuring the effectiveness of the academic program on the student body. I want to say that's definitely admirable. Um, I know it's difficult to do this traceability because the internalization and the application of information is not only dependent on the academic content, it's not only dependent, it's dependent on a range of variables. But perhaps another time we will go into some of the studies that we are doing that really helps you to understand what are those factors that are influencing how the student relates to information and possibly practical things for you to look for or the general public to look for when we want to hold ourselves accountable in terms of the academic programs. I just want to share with you some of what we do. And then I want to talk a little bit more about the business type. I want to look at your business objective. I want to look at your team dynamics and perhaps some of the challenges the business would have gone through. But one of the things that we do is similar to what you do, Shivani. When we are interfacing with a rising star in business, we literally help them to understand what is the business success ecosystem, because there is such a thing that we call the business success ecosystem. It's like, for example, a professional will tell you that the things that you're doing is not going to give you the results that you want, but you may not know it. So part of what we do when we come in with a training, we help them to understand the essential steps that they need to apply to attain the desired end results. And then we hold ourselves accountable in as much as we hold them accountable for implementing programs based on what we are saying. And a quick example of this, we have been working with a number of rising stars, and they have pretty strong brands. But one of the things that we establish is that because we train them in understanding what is visibility, what is reach, and what is impact, what is client conversion, how to build confidence, trust, and credibility. And then we say to them, if you don't implement a program to get visibility, a good brand can fail. And here is where we see a lot of rising stars in business, Shivani. They are not invested. There's no budgetary allocation for branding, for marketing, for visibility optimization. So they are not reaching the ideal client. If you don't reach the ideal client, you don't get a cash flow optimize. The business tend to fail. So we hold ourselves accountable for these areas that we're looking at. And I'm happy that at UWI in your program, you're also doing the same. Um, Shabani, tell me a little bit about, you're in business. You represent two brands. We represent border link resources, and you also represent Caribbean Connect. I love those two institutions because we have talked about these businesses from time to time, and I love the vision behind them. But tell us a little bit more about your objective behind the start of these two operations. I believe one got started during the pandemic. Is one of the way in which you used to pivot away from some of the challenges. And tell us a little bit about your team dynamics that is behind you to move this vision forward.
So, Gary, I don't have a large team. It's a very small team that I would have. I also, so if I have something to do, which is, I mean, you always have something to do, and we can't do it for ourselves with our small team, I have a lot, I participate with the gig economy a lot, right? Where I will hire people to do jobs. So a very small internal team I would have, but I have a very, very large network to get things done. So this is my business model, right? My business model is to keep a very small internal team that we can grow, that we can develop. Trust has a lot to do with it as well. And then we map out exactly what do we want to do for the next 3 to 5 years. And we would recruit persons for temporary contracts then of part of the freelance economy. So I have a number of persons that would be like that. Of course, I would have also a number of persons that would be facilitators, trainers as well in each of the different training entities. And they're part of the gig economy as well. So they come, they do their teaching, and then that's it. And then they may be retained again, depending on what it is, right? So my business model is very different. It may be very similar to yours as well, how I understand how you operate as well, where we would have a very small internal team. And you wouldn't even know that, right? People will think it's large, many, many, many persons in the business that I'm in. It's a very small internal team. And what do we say in business here? From an HR point, we'll say full-time staff, right? We have a small internal full-time staff, but we would have a very, very large gig economy that persons can come and get a gig. Then that's the term that we see thrown out, the gig economy. So that's really when you talk about the team dynamics. That's the type of team. So you have internal and you also have external. So it's
I
even
love that.
more important, when you do have this type of thinking, you have to know management of internal is very different from management of external as well.
External, yeah.
So you have to have you need to understand both. It's different. It's different. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that, and just to dig in a little deep into what you're saying, I love your model. And you have a small internal team, but then you have a large external team, and you leverage the power of delegation. And I think, smart leaders, are doing this today for a number of reasons. One, you don't you are able to reduce the cost of certain department heads until that time become necessary for you to have them internally. But what I've also seen, because you have an external team, the external team may not be local. That external team may be international. Just to give some example of what I'm talking about here, we have portfolios in the U.S., but then we have team players in India and in Bangladesh and other parts of the world who are fulfilling the project obligation that we have designed. And guess what? We would not be for it any other way because we have speed in execution, we have reduction for labor, we are achieving the objectives. So at the right time, we are also going to go into some of that to really also help businesses to understand, small team, large network, power of delegation, and still, building a strong business. Um, what I want to briefly look at here now, Shivani, is in your field of business, while I know that you are a high achiever and you have accomplished a lot, what would you say are some of the challenges that you had to navigate and to be where you are today?
So, in terms of facilities management, my day job, I have been looked at not as a subject matter expert because I did not come as an engineer into the job, or I am not a mechanical or electrical or a plumbing person. That was not my trade. So from day one, it was a challenge. Um, how do you overcome something like that? I would say age. Age may help me, right? What I did was, you must have a subject matter within that area. So again, learning and development is my subject matter, teaching people. So I brought a lot of the coaching and the mentoring skills to deal with the team. And then persons saw that I have something to share and that they can learn from it. So I had to analyze very carefully how to do this job, because I really could have run away after the first 6 7 months in the job, because it was a very different it was different for me. I really did not know the subject matter at that point. I mean, I'm not a subject matter in as an electrician or a plumber or even an AC tech. So I had to make persons understand that I'm here to develop a FM strat, a strategic plan, and implement the strategic plan, but with you. So personally, I think that made me better because I could see things from both angles. I'm not only seeing it from the subject matter, but I'm seeing it from you as an individual and you understanding the subject matter, and I'm not. So it really allowed me to grow in the field in a different way. That I think I got really good at it because of because of me not jumping in as a SME in the first thing. And also I'm able to bring in a lot of my project management skills into it, because everything in FM can be considered a project. You have so many different projects to do. So there were so many challenges. And then preparing of the scope. Let's say if I'm not the SME, somebody could come, a contractor could come and give me something, and I don't really know what it is. So I had to deal with situations and see how I could have gotten around it and learn
Uh,
from these things, which was so interesting to me. I really appreciated those learnings,
yeah.
and I take it with me all way.
But I
Now,
can share something with you is that, it's funny that you say because you believe that because you don't have the SME background, which is the business background before you get into project management, you saw that as being a challenge. I can tell you this. I was very versed in business and long before I took project management. And I can tell you, although I'm now able to combine my business savvy with project management, guess what? Business is so wide, and every business that you go to may be unique. So if you have applied my business savviness and project management to the oil and gas sector, guess what? I have to go through that learning curve. All right, might be to agriculture. I have to go through that learning curve of what crop, management is all about. So, but the beauty about project management, however, is that it creates that room where you're able to bring all of the subject matter expert at the table, and you're able to apply the tools towards the project outcome, towards the budget, towards the work breakdown structure to attain the same, to attain targeted results. And that's what I love about the project management concept. So we have heard a lot about you, Shivani. We have heard about you in terms of what nurtured you into becoming what you are today. You relate a lot of that based on, genetics and where you are. We talk a little bit about your family. We talk a little bit about your life as a lecturer, your vision for your students, and your life as a business owner. Let's project a little bit now into the future. um, you have accomplished a certain degree of success in your life today, but knowing who you are always pushing the glass ceiling, and you are not, you know, building comfort in your comfort zone. What are your big plans for the future? I know the last time that we talked, you were giving me a hint that you want to lay some foundation into the U.S. market right now, and perhaps globally. But talk to us about your plans for the future.
Now, when you started talking to me about plans for the future, I wonder how far I could think. How
I know a
far,
whole lot is coming up, right?
yeah. Is it 3 to 5 years what I want to do? Now, as I
Okay.
say, Gary, I get bored very quickly. I am thinking to myself that every every year I want to learn something more. Right? Everything is never static. Right? It's always dynamic. So I get bored very quickly, unless I'm learning something new. So yes, I have many plans. I do a lot of work with entrepreneurs, a lot of work with chocolaters and winemakers, where I took the design thinking, which is another special skill that I have developed. It's such an interesting model, the 5 step approach from empathy to testing. It's such an interesting model. And you are able to see design thinking now into with entrepreneurs and how they could improve their product. So it really opened up my mind. So for me, I want to create my own product as well. you know and different ideas that I have flowing. So yes, this is something that I'm also doing, and getting some of the um, some of the learnings from persons that I know. So that's something that I want to do. And of course, I have you when I want to set it up in New York, right?
Yeah, definitely. We have the our institution set up to really help you through the entire process. From the getting your license with the Secretary of State, um, getting your DUNS number, PAYDEX score, and the big part is really setting you up to be fundable and start to access capital to grow and scale in your operation. We have that entire ecosystem built out for you, so you don't worry. We have you covered.
Good to go.
um, yes, you got it, Shabadi. You know with your rich knowledge and experience, um, what advice do you have for rising stars in business, and even stars in business? Because your expertise is not only relevant to a startup, it's relevant to those who are going through growth and expansion, and those who are fully established who may not understand project management. What advice do you have for people in business in terms of the importance of project management?
Now, more and more, I am seeing businesses and how businesses require project management. Understanding the tools for project management. You don't have to be a project manager to understand these tools. A lot of persons are doing this type of training now to implement and take certain aspects of project management teachings to for their business. So project management is such a wide field that you may say, okay, I want to learn how to plan effectively for my business. I think that is lacking, and therefore I can take some of the project management skills here to plan. And then you have initiation, you have your benefits management plan. So a lot of times you are not only doing project management to be a project manager in probably the oil and gas or the education sector or facilities management or different areas, but you are taking some of the tools in project management that could assist you now in growing some aspect of your business. And project management, the hierarchy of project management is not only project management. You have program management and portfolio management. I'll always say businesses need to implement proper PMOs, project management offices. And when you take those learnings, you're going to see growth in your organization. And if you don't, you're not going to see the growth. So project management and understanding the PMO concept will grow your organization. And what I hope organizations will eventually do, Gary, you would eventually now mirror this in human resources as well, in HR, where certain positions will change and your whole structure, your business model can be a projectized environment as well. And you would see, how people will want to work. People will work because you give them a project to do. You're not saying, okay, you come to the job and you're doing the same old boring thing over and over and you're not seeing the outcomes. But you project managementize in certain aspects of the job. Of course, that's a whole new concept for a lot of organizations, right? Especially we in the Caribbean here, right? In different parts of the world, it's being done and it's being done very well. But in the Caribbean, this is something that needs to be revisited, not even revisited, needs to be looked at. A project
Yeah,
management approach to how organizations can grow.
yeah. Shivani, I agree with you so much with what you're saying. As you said that, I can reflect many years ago, and I know it still exists onto today. You're sitting in the boardroom, and sometimes you're sitting among top leaders in various organizations, from politics to business to civil society, and they're doing broad consultations, and they're getting few views from left, right, and center, and they may be taking some notes. But guess what? Very often you see a project manager is not there. You see, a project management practitioner, they are wired differently. They are listening to the problems, and because they understand the tools, they are coming up with the solutions. And before that meeting end, they can say, okay, boss, this is what we have heard. These are the tools. This is what we can do. This is the timeline that we can deliver on this. A well-trained project management consultant will be able to deliver all of that. And I'm saying all of this because I know what your institution stands for. You are not only a lecturer, but now your institution, you're able to provide international accredited programs to persons who now sees the importance of adopting project management as that new baby to the organization that can really help to push the organization and forward. Shivani, the last question that I want to put to you, I don't even have to put this question to you because I know the answer already, but I just want you to relate to it. And I know you're a lecturer. I've worked with you. I know your passion. I know you always bring your A game all the time in terms of delivering results. You're results driven. But the question I want to ask you is, why should business leader trust your brand? Why should they trust you? I mean, I have established all the good reasons, years of experience, but I want to hear it from you. What are your value proposition that you want them to know as to why they should really trust your brand?
I practice what I preach, which is benefits management, which is part of project management. And I can guarantee you would get benefits from using this approach. Trust me that I can do this. I have done it with my own organization. Nothing is static and things keep evolving. So if you say, why should you trust me? What I teach, which is project management, and that's the reason why I continuously teach. Practice makes you perfect. When you are in a classroom setting, and you yourself, Gary, will understand this, you're part of this teaching environment as well. When you are in a teaching environment, whether online or face to face, you are interacting with students and they are bringing also their perspectives to you. And you learn from that. So it's peer to peer learning right into the classroom as well, where the teacher learns from the student. So teaching allows you to practice your trade and learn from everybody in order to make your trade better. There are so many things that I have gathered in a classroom environment from students that I'm able to spin it in a different way and probably just grow it. So why should you trust me? I am bringing in not my experience alone, thousands of people's experiences
Yeah.
when I speak.
Shivani, I love that. I really love it. Um, One of the things that I would always say, and we learn this from experience too, there's a certain type of learning that you get when you do. All right. When you get into that classroom and you start to teach and you start to do things, you begin to recognize that, the learning curve is being fast tracked because you're testing your strengths, you are testing your tools, you're now able to adjust where it's necessary to adjust. And so, with that being said, Shivani, I really love it. All right. Thanks, Shivani, for taking the time out to be with us here today. And I must say that it's a tremendous pleasure having you in today's program. I look forward to doing another multiple interviews with you in the near future.